y'all. Welcome back to another awesome episode of Rebel Sage Perspectives. I am Michelle, and this is my buddy Rudy. And we have the outstanding, absolutely amazing, phenomenal Bart Herbison on with us today.
I was looking over my shoulder there for a second. Who the hell you were talking about, Michelle?
Oh, stop it, Bart. You know I'm talking about you.
Thank you.
So welcome, Bart. We're so happy you're here. And I just want to tell everybody that I worked for Bart when I first moved to the Nashville area. And it was at his company, NSAI, that I learned how to say Nashville properly. It's not Nashville, it's Nashville. Nashville. We live in Nashville, Tennessee.
It's kind of like your Nash Rambler. The trunk is full. Nashville. Nashville.
Nashville.
There you go. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I was having a hard enough time with Tennessee.
Oh, no,
Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Tennessee?
It's accents on the C. Tennessee. C.
See? All right.
Senior.
Gosh.
I won't tell you where I live in Las Casas. Do we even want to go down that highway? So.
No.
Do you really?
Do you know Las
Bart
Casas?
Herbison.
Michelle Reeves, what are we talking about here?
Why have we not run into each other? You know, I live in Murfreesboro still.
Well, because I never go to Murfreesboro ever.
Oh, well, that's a
I
good
stay
reason.
I stay out in Las Casas, and
Yeah.
if you saw me, it would be in the Las Casas Kroger or Marino's. Other than that, I don't get out much in town.
Unbelievable. I can't believe it. Now there's no excuse. We are definitely going to have to go do something at some point.
Hey, waiting on me. You're backing up, kiddo. So yeah, look, I'm in. Yeah.
Let's do
Just-
this.
Just don't invite the man to the borough. I know what he means by not going over there.
Hey, now you
I want to be
nice.
kind, but I moved here because my wife has lived here for years. She's been in the education system for a long time, and so that's
Okay.
how much I loved her. I said, "Yeah, I'll move right on down there." So I did. A long time ago.
That is amazing. So how many years have you been here?
I have
or
been in Las Casas for 14, and lived here a couple years before that on the other side of town.
Right. Okay.
Mhm.
Right. Wow. That's crazy.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I think I'm blown away by that, Bart. I always thought you were
I have
like up
never,
north somewhere.
never seen her nonplussed. I got you, lady. I got you,
You
Michelle.
got me with
I threw a
something
curveball,
so
yeah.
simple. So simple. But
You know what it means, by the way, don't you?
what's
I
that?
just found this out myself, and of course it's obvious. It means the houses. Las Casas, the houses. But in the Indian vernacular, and I forget which the tribe was that lived here. There were several, but it means the beautiful village of houses. It means a place where you want to live, a lovely place to live, the houses. So
I think that does describe Las
Mhm.
Casas.
It
though.
really does. I
It's
love
really
Las
a cool
Casas.
area.
Don't blink, but other than that,
Correct.
yeah.
Don't. Yeah.
There is literally the one red light,
Yes.
and that's it. Yeah,
And I
that's
know where
it.
that's at.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's
Well,
crazy.
I do enjoy me a Kroger, so I think that's probably going to be on my road trip list is the Las Casas
Well,
Kroger.
this
Kroger.
is not about COVID, although I did it during COVID. I discovered they bring the groceries out to your car. So I never go in anymore. I love it, man. I sit there and order what I want. And unless it's
I'm
like
not
they
gonna
don't have
lie.
some items. And so I go to Publix once a month to get what Kroger doesn't have. So
I'm
a
not gonna
happy
lie, I've been
camper.
doing that.
Yeah, I love it.
Letting them bring it out to me for
Mhm.
years.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no need for me to go inside.
Other than the bakery.
Correct.
That's the
Yeah.
only reason. So, or the
Yeah.
deli,
The only handprints you want on your bread are your own.
yeah. Man, that is wisdom beyond the ages. The only handprints you want on your bread, Michelle, are your own. I love it. I love it,
True
man.
story.
Oh
true
God, we're
story.
not talking about anything. We're already having fun. I told you. Michelle reached out to me like 5 days ago. She goes, "Could you do a podcast someday?" I went, "What about Thursday?" I couldn't wait to get on this with you, Michelle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
So, Yeah. Okay. So Bart Herbison, you guys, has been in the music industry forever, right? I mean,
I
pretty
had been in
much.
this job for this will be my 24th year.
24. Okay.
And before that, I was on Capitol Hill for 10 years, but I dealt with a lot of music issues. I've always been around music since I was a child, one way or another.
Right. Yeah. And I remember, isn't it January that you usually go to DC?
No, I do about 100 days a year in DC, Michelle, under
Well, I
normal
thought there was
times.
something you would
Well,
go to.
there's a new session of Congress happens every other January. There's always a new
Right.
agenda
Okay.
in January. So January is an important month on Capitol Hill because it's always you sort of see what's ahead. The roadmap ahead is kind of revealed every January. So
Yeah. And Bart, weren't you, and this is the place to toot your own horn, so to speak, but weren't you integral in getting the songwriters listed on on the music videos when
well,
they
so
were
the
playing them?
NSAI was founded in 1967.
Hmm.
There were only 80 writers in town. That was it.
Oh my
Total of 80. There
gosh.
have been 80 in my building and were closed. I mean, there's thousands.
Right.
We were the idea of a guy named Eddie Miller. Songwriters can't unionize. There's rules for that, but and songwriters ask me about that all the time. So it's very hard to let a union represent you in terms of wage negotiations when number one, not every songwriter should earn the same.
Correct.
Number two, I mean, especially when it comes to draws and advances and that sort of thing. If I've got
Sure.
10 number ones, I'm going to have a different deal with the publisher than if I've never had a cut.
Yeah.
And number two, Congress sets the framework for our wages. So a union can't negotiate with Congress. So we're essentially the advocacy group for songwriters and everything from what they get paid to how they're treated to what the rules are. Our very first issue in 1967, Michelle, to answer your question, was to get songwriters' names on records. It happened occasionally, but it wasn't an industry practice. And so it took about 3.5 years to get the publishers to agree to get label copy to the labels in time to get the labels to do this. You know, it's much easier now because it's months between a cut and a single
Sure.
usually.
Sure.
Back then, it was not uncommon to cut the song and it's out on Thursday.
Yeah.
When we announced that we did that in 1971, several things happened. First of all, the writer community went, okay, this is the group that's going to stick around. They were smart, they were relentless, and they picked something that they will ride on. And it really wasn't that controversial. It was more of a manner of how do we get this done than will everybody do it.
Sure.
And it changed
Sure.
everything, Michelle. It made the songwriters understand that a group could speak for them if they were the group.
Sure.
Get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So all these writers got out and did it, and we still operate that way. So I think what you're thinking about, it was 10, 15 years ago.
Which would have been about the time I was there.
Yeah, CMT had purchased, I'm sorry, CBS had purchased MTV and CMT.
Correct. Yes.
And they made some ill-advised decision to take the writers' names off the videos.
Right.
And I tried to tell them what was going to happen to them, and they didn't believe me. And within a week, we had Metro Zoning pull all their codes at CMT. You know, we kind of shut them down. We had the state legislature. We had a bill introduced that said no video can be exported that's shot in Tennessee outside the state lines without a writer's name on it. Probably unconstitutional, but they were going to have to fight it. Had Senator Hatch and a number of other prominent Washington politicians go to the well and announce what they were going to do. And they did it anyway. But the pressure mounted so much, and they chose Tin Pan South Week to do it, Michelle, when I've got thousands of songwriters in town. And they were all rallying around the building. We were doing marches. But the good news is that was one of the first times we really flexed our muscle in the modern era. And we got the credits back on there, and we've never looked back for that. And I tried to tell them, you don't understand. We're going down over us. Well, it's not that big of a deal. I went, it was our very first issue.
No,
and
no,
it's a
it's a
damn
huge
big deal to us. And we rolled that
Yes.
back. What else gets rolled back?
Sure.
So I'm going to talk a little bit here, Michelle. Your
Sure.
audience, a lot of them, I'm sure, are songwriters, but they need to know a couple of quick facts. Songwriters are the most regulated industry in America. They're the only profession with a maximum wage. We don't get a minimum wage. We get a formula, and per stream or per airplay, we get paid this formula, and it's 10,000ths of a penny. It's nothing. When modern copyright law was written in 1909, that was sort of when the separation we see today happened between record labels and the song. Record labels got to negotiate in a free market under a totally separate copyright. Songwriters, it was ruled, had federal judges set their rates. How's that going to work for you? Under rules that were ridiculous, that we took over 100 years to change with the Music Modernization Act recently. And then weirdly, I know this is in the weed stuff, we were put under a compulsory license, Michelle. Those fabulous glasses you have on, you make those, you want to sell them to some company and they don't want to pay you what you want, you go to the next one. If it's a song, it's compulsory. We have to let you use it for those ridiculously low rates, whether we want to or not. So songwriters have been under a thumb for over 100 years in this country.
Wow.
So yeah, our names mattered on those songs.
Sure. Just so you know, anytime I watch a video and I see the songwriter up there, I'm like, I was part of that. I helped get those on there by being the support people for Bart.
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of them. We talked to Keith Urban. He was going to wear he was going to wear a name on his next video that had the writer's shirt on. We got everybody involved in that, and it was just ill timing and ill conceived. And I'm glad that we prevailed, and it actually helped us with CMT and MTV and others develop a longer term partnership. And I'm glad for that too.
Right.
We're not interested in fighting. We're interested in protecting a beautiful profession and making sure you get compensated fairly. That's it.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of funny that you that you brought up Keith Urban. Keith Urban is a lot better off. Like, he's just grown so much in my time in Nashville. I met him when I worked for you guys at Tin Pan South. I think I was at 12th and Porter.
That was probably sounds right. Yeah.
I think that's where you guys had put me. And he was playing, and then Trace Adkins was playing right after him. And so Trace arrived, and I had him holed up in a janitor's closet. I mean, and you know, Bart, you know, he's a big dude.
He is a large boy. He really
Yes.
is. I mean, Trace, I'm 6'3", and I go, hey, Trace, how's it going, man?
Yeah. And so Keith comes off the stage, and he's talking to whatever lady he was talking to that night, right? Pre-Nicole, of course. And like, his manager, John Dennis, I don't know if you still keep in touch with him or not, but Keith's manager was there, and I was talking to him, and Keith was just talking and talking and talking. I felt really bad that I had Trace holed up in the janitor's closet with the dirty mops and the brooms, right? And so I walked over, and I never told you I did this until right now for a reason, Bart.
Autograph.
Better.
I know, you're going to ground me for sure.
Well, before you do this, let's pause. There's a term in the music industry.
Okay.
It's spelled like germ, but we pronounce it germ. Some people spell it with an H, Gherm. And what that means is, like, you see your favorite star, but you can't act like a fan. You can't ask for a picture. You can't ask for an autograph. You can't say, my mother loves you.
No, I didn't do
how
that.
did you germ, Michelle? Because I'm assuming
I didn't do
germ.
that. I promise you, Bart.
Okay.
You're still going to ground me, though. So Keith is standing there chatting with this lady, and I'm my OCD is like sneaking out at this point, you know, like getting full ready to go here. And I was like, Keith, hon, I was like, I love that you're talking to this beautiful woman here. I said, but darling, you don't have to stay home, but you can't, or you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. And he looked at me like, did you really just quote that god awful song? But he goes, who are you? And I said, I'm the lady who has Trace Adkins holed up in a janitor's closet, and I need you to leave, honey. Please. I was like, hey, John, didn't you say you made Keith a dinner reservation? And like I walked him and shooed him out the door. And
I would
I
have
don't know.
not been upset with that. I'd have given you a raise. That's genius. I love the way you did that.
I was just like, oh my gosh. I was like, if Bart knew this, he'd probably be like, just let the man talk.
Proud of you.
So yeah, that was
Garth,
pretty funny.
Keith, Johnny, Merle, y'all got to go.
Well, and I've told other people that story since then, and they're like, you did that to Keith Urban? I was like, first of all, at that moment, he wasn't Keith Urban. He was Keith Urban. You know, like just the dude who was singing. It wasn't like he was superstar Keith Urban at that time.
I went to Keith's. That was the last big concert I went to before COVID.
Right.
Do yourself a favor. I don't care what, if you haven't seen Keith live, he's
Yeah.
amazing, but live, it's another whole level. Go.
Yeah.
Even if you got to go to another town, I'm serious. Do yourself a favor.
Wow. Yeah. Well, my oldest daughter, Caitlin, is a huge Taylor Swift fan, right? Of course. And we were at one of the Taylor Swift concerts, and Keith came out and did a couple of songs with her, and I was like, wow, he's really much better live. Not everybody is, but like I was
He's
impressed.
in the top 5 live acts I've ever seen in any
Wow.
genre in any era. I mean, Keith Urban, let me put it this way. He leaves nothing on the court. And you're tired. Like we got up to leave, and I told my wife, let's just wait and let everybody get out of here. I need to work. I was tired myself, Michelle.
Right,
so.
right. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's great, and I'm just blown away. Like I'm so happy to have been part of that part of the music scene when I first got to Nashville. Like that was so perfect for me because it gave me good footing in the area. And I know I've always been one of those people who know everyone, like you probably. You go out to dinner and everybody comes up and talks to you, I'm sure. But I feel like because of the job I did when I worked for NSAI, like I just feel like I don't meet a stranger now, and I know my way around. And
well, we envision, look, I get a lot of credit, but I have to take the blame too. And one of the things I decided early on is we were going to be Music Row's Chamber of Commerce, and we are. And I'm proud of that too. Proud of that. It's part of our mission statement, actually.
Sure.
Music Row, you cross Broadway to downtown. It's like 2 miles from my office to the Capitol, but it feels like 200 because they're such separate industries, and the way the music industry works is so unusual. And I've made a 25-year commitment to bridge that gap, and I think we've been somewhat effective in that. Not completely, but somewhat.
Yeah. So how long have you been writing the piece in the Tennessean?
Well, I love that story too. So they used to do this when growing up. I mean, it was my favorite thing in the Sunday paper.
Right.
And they published a whole page of sheet music. An entire page was the sheet music of that song.
Oh, wow.
The late Donna Hilley called the paper up one day and made them realize that they couldn't do that, that it required a reprint license. It was going to be a lot of money. And they respected that and stopped, but they stopped the whole series. Yeah. So for years, Michelle, I wore the Tennessean out. I mean, it's Nashville, Music City, USA. It all begins with the song. Y'all got to bring this back. And you know me, I'm relentless and persistent.
Yes.
And like I said earlier, you kind of like me when you first meet me. Give it a week because I will wear you out. And
Unless
it's
you're me.
thin with some people.
Unless
And
you're
so
me.
one day, a lady named Linda was running the department down there. She's not there anymore, and said,
Okay.
Bart, you're hurting yourself. We're very transparent and honest. I said, story behind the song? She said, yeah. She goes, people want to avoid you because you're just wearing them out. And I said, fine. Here's our deal. And she called me to ask me to arrange a bunch of interviews with our award winners. I said, I'm going to do it. No strings attached. But
Right.
what I would like, and I'll never, ever, ever bring up story behind the song again, ever, if you get everybody in the decision tree together and give me 5 minutes to make my plea. And I'll never bring it. If you say no, hell no, never bring it up again. So we did the interviews, 3 or 4 months passed. I called Linda. I said, when are we going to get that group together? She goes, will you do it? I said, yeah. She goes, you start Sunday. And that was about 300 episodes ago. So it's been a while. It's my single favorite thing I've ever done in my life. So for people that don't know it, I do one song every Sunday. Go to Tennessean.com, click on music, click on story behind the song. So my favorite episode is about 15 minutes long, but go watch and read the one with Vehicle by Jim Peterick. That's my favorite one.
Okay.
I've got 2 second favorite ones. You want to hear those?
Yes, of course.
Kenny Loggins, House at Pooh Corner.
House at Pooh Corner. Yeah.
So the first thing, Kenny Loggins, and I know Kenny a little bit, is the best looking human being I've ever seen, especially in person. He still is. He's older than me. And I look at Kenny, I'm like, damn you, man. And he's talented and a singer and a wonderful guy and smart as hell too, Michelle. So it's everything we're all jealous of. And to make it even worse, he writes this thing when he's a senior in high school, 17 years old. He writes Danny's song, and House at Pooh Corner. So he's hanging out with Jeff Hanna of the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band down in LA. Jeff was considerably younger than all the other Dirt Band members, like about 10 years or so. He's just a kid himself, and they've just come off Mr. Bojangles. So I'm going to give my version of it. Kenny said, Bart, you take a little license, but I like my version better. So Jeff tells him, oh my God, Kenny, I'm sitting over there playing House at Pooh Corner. The label loved it. We recorded it. It's going to be our next single. Kenny's like, what does that even mean? Well, what do I get? And he goes, rich. And he explains to him how it works. And Kenny's like, well, I just did this to get girls, you know? And so he's like, really, blah, blah, blah. And he's all now, by the end of the 6th period, he's charted a course to be the next Burt Bacharach. He's going to be a songwriter, right?
Wow.
Day or so passes, and he's at what became Beverly Hills High School. He's in that LA Beverly Hills area high school. And he comes out one day and Jeff's out there going, Kenny goes, what? Off. It's off. What do you mean it's off? They're not, what do you mean it's off? Well, we not coming out. It's done. Well, why? He goes, Disney called. Pooh is trademarked, and they're not letting us use it. But why? I go, no, Kenny. Kenny was relentless. He goes, Jeff finally goes, you got to shut up. Not coming out. We'll try to get another song recorded. Welcome to being a songwriter. This is how this works. It's a life full of disappointments. Okay. So Kenny's got a date that night and goes over to his girlfriend's house, and he's all like, I've never seen him frown ever. He's Kenny Loggins. So he's like, oh, and she's like, what's wrong with you? And he explains it to her, and he says, let's just don't even go out tonight. I'm not going to be any fun. She goes, I love you, Kenny. I love you. I want to cheer you up. We'll get through this, talk it through. We'll go watch a movie. We'll do something fun. Let's start getting over it. Okay, they go out, and that's that. Monday comes. High school's over. Comes out, and Jeff is like, yes. Kenny's like, what? And he goes, it's back on. It's going to get released pretty soon. What the hell happened? He goes, your girlfriend. What are you talking about? Kenny didn't know her daddy was the president of Disney. Daddy, you got to call him and let him use it. It's trademarked. He said, I don't care. Daddy called. And that's how we have the house at Pooh Corner.
Oh,
That's the
my
story behind that song. I'll leave with that
gosh.
one. That's I can't top that one. So but that's the kind of stories we tell in these interviews, and I love to get to do them.
Yeah, that's
That's
Isn't that a
amazing.
great story?
Yeah. So, hey, Rudy, do you have any questions for Bart? I feel like Bart and I are having old home week, and you're just sitting
I'm
there being cool.
I'm enjoying myself. It's a good stories and good fun. I did have a question. I don't know if you may have touched on this a little bit earlier, but just with regards to I guess being an advocate for songwriters in the digital era. I mean, what kind of other than the millions of pennies per download that that songwriters have to accept. I mean, what other kind of challenges have there been with the advent of the digital age? Because I remember before computers.
Yeah, we could spend hours on that, but to sort of do it succinctly, it's all about the money. And so we went from physical product. So I'll give you a point of reference. I took this job in 1997 in August, which was probably the apex month globally of the world music industry. Nashville had 4,000 songwriters signed to legitimate publishing deals. We had 42 record companies. Within a decade, we had 400 songwriters signed to legitimate publishing deals and 5 record companies. And that was all because of digital and all because it started with piracy. It's hard to fight free, and record labels aren't making any money. So record labels, their old business model was, we'll make money from records. In fact, we'll sign 30 artists, 29 of whom will lose money for us. And this is no exaggeration, but the one, the Dixie Chicks, the Billy Joel, the Tim McGraw, the whoever it was, made so much money, it didn't matter. Then there wasn't as much money on sales, then nothing. So they changed to something called a 360 deal. Record labels have started making some money on digital stuff, but they are in partnership now on the live music end of it. It's called a 360 deal. And the record labels now share in the artist's ticket proceeds, their publishing on their songs, their merchandise, and all of that was a domino effect. I'm proud to say we are beginning to rebound from it, but most songs are co-written. So we did a big event about changing these rules 6, 7 years ago, maybe 8 in Washington. We never spoke a word. Our event, we put 5 great songwriters up there that you'd never heard of, but you knew the songs. It was beautiful. Linda Perry wrote it. Christina Aguilera sang it. It was Desmond Child doing Living on a Prayer. It was Lee Miller doing You're Gonna Miss This. And at the end of that, here were our screens. And we had a lot of Congress in this room just before a big judiciary hearing, and it said, most songs are co-written. So most of the songwriters have a publisher. That means they have a 25% share in the royalties for the song. Each of these songs had 35 million spins on Spotify last year. Each writer earned $185, their 25% share. That's unsustainable. It will not work. And here's why, because we went from, for most of those 4,000 writers, they didn't make their living on the big single. They made it on album cuts. I got on a Joe Diffie album. I got 3 songs. Well, at the current rate, for every million songs that it sold, you got about 27 grand, your share. But if you got 3 cuts on that, and he sold 1 million, which a lot of people did, you just made $75,000 and you didn't need that big radio hit. That completely went away. In fact, many artists don't even make albums anymore. You're certainly not going to make any money from 95% of the album cuts.
Right.
And so that's what happened when we transitioned from a physical world to a digital world. We did a couple things about it. The biggest was the Music Modernization Act. And what that did is it put us on more of an equal footing with the record labels. The bill we wanted was to say the government no longer controls any of this. You're out of our damn business. We don't like it. We won't let you have our songs, Spotify. If you don't want to pay us what we want, we don't, blah, blah, blah. But the industry itself would never have agreed to that. The labels would not have agreed to it. Many others weren't. But we worked for years to come up with a grand compromise. It didn't change the rates, but it changes the way they're set. And it changes it to a much more fair standard akin to what the record labels get. In fact, on streaming, if the record labels do a private deal and get more, we automatically get more. So we haven't had a rate proceeding yet under the new Music Modernization Act, but we will. Writers will get paid more. And there's lots more parts to that. There's a new agency for mechanical royalties. Songwriters get two kinds of royalties. One when their song is performed live or streamed or on the radio or on television. Another is when it's sold. So if you have a subscription service and you pay $9.99 a month to hear what you want to hear when you want to hear it, we consider that both a sale and a performance. So we changed the way all that works, and we're already seeing results before songwriters are making more before we even have a rate proceeding. And I'm just touching on it. It's so complicated. We call it the onion. We've been peeling back layers since that law was passed in 1909.
Wow.
Wow.
Now, I'm sure because like I've seen the change in the industry. I mean, back in the early 90s, I took a course in college about the music industry. It was one of the only, I went to, it was Orange Coast College in California, and it was one of the only schools that had a class that was about the record industry and its history and how it worked. And now leap forward, well, actually in the last decade, last 15 years, where artists have gone to the more DIY, where they've been now, because of the digital era, are able to go ahead and, you know, they're not producing a physical thing. They can do that for the niche market, but for mass consumption, they can just put it right out there.
Yeah.
And they advertise on social media,
Right.
and you know, they build out by digital word of mouth. And now that things are opening back up again, going back out and playing shows. Now, geez, I don't even know if there's a question there. It's just that this is just, like you said, it's a huge onion. And I'm guessing this is one of the layers that has been probably most prominent as of late.
Right. That's fair. And I would just say, in response to what you said, you know, there's a lot of DIYers, and you can go create your own song. You can do a pretty good version of it on your phone these days.
Yeah.
And you can upload it, and you can do all that. And there are stars that break out of that occasionally. But for the most part, the money is still with the old kind of industry we knew, which is a combination of royalties and live. And so that's what we've attacked as much as anything else. But the former, these DIYers, let me get in the weeds for a couple minutes. I'm going to touch on something I just said. So you get two kinds of royalties: performance, and that's easy for you to get. You either go join ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, or GMR. They collect your performance money for you, and they pay you. You don't have to do anything. You're done. Join your PRO. Your performances are collected. And even if it's not much, you might earn, and especially if you play live, like you said, you can report every set list to ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, or GMR. You might make $180 a year, might make $800, you might make $1,800, but there's money there for you. And once you join and report your songs, you don't have to do anything else. So if I'm Spotify and I want to license those performances, all I do is go to ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, and GMR and send them a quarterly payment. They pay the writers based on their activity. It's as simple as it can get. And that's called a blanket licensing system. Those four companies blanket everything. You're licensed. You've got the entire repertoire. Doesn't work that way on your mechanical royalties. Mechanicals, the streaming services, And you, as a writer or artist, have to go do it yourself. So, in the digital world, I've got to go to Spotify, Amazon, Apple, Pandora, Google, Rhapsody, Tidal, all of them. Service by service, I've got to go register for my mechanicals. It's a lot of work. It's not easy. It's hard to do. It can be complicated. But one of the centerpieces of the Music Modernization Act is we're going to change how that works. We're going to make it work like the performance side does. We're going to go to a blanket system for mechanicals in the United States. And we did that. And to do that, we created an agency called the Mechanical Licensing Collective, the MLC.com. It's in Nashville. We just sent out our first payments a couple of weeks ago after all these years, after trying to do this. And here's my message to your listeners and some of your buddies, Michelle. Well, I don't fool with mechanicals. And I've either got to go do it myself or I got to pay a company to do it. Not anymore. We do it, and we do it free. Because one of the big demands that we insisted on in the Music Modernization Act was the streaming companies pay for it. It's the first time ever that the distributors of the music pay for that. So all you got to do, all you have to do, is go to the MLC and put your info in there. Here's my song title. Here's my co-writers. Here's the splits. And I don't know what we're going to send you. I don't know if it's $8, $80. It's a math formula, but it's free. And it's going to surprise a whole lot of people. So that's the single thing, and all the legislation and trials and everything we've won over the past couple of years is there's an opportunity for songwriters to go see for free what they do when you're the do-it-yourselfer. When you're that kid or older person putting your stuff, just like you said, up online, now go register that, and we'll see you're gonna get some mailbox money. I'm very proud of that.
Amazing.
That is amazing. That's good to know, Sage.
TheMLC.com. And everybody now, don't put it off because we're already paying. And by the way, we've got $424 million from the streaming services in unclaimed funds. We're going to get some more data, and I think we'll be paying part of that out soon. But we're going to look for you for at least 3 years, probably longer. But then we're going to pay that out. And we're going to pay it to you based on the other activity you had. It's unclaimed. We don't know who it is. So our thought was always, we'll give it to the writers who did do the right thing. Don't give it to NSAI. Don't give it back to the services. Put that unclaimed money back into songwriters' pockets. But you don't get any of it if you don't register. I cannot insist on this enough. What have you got to lose? Pop some corn, turn on the game tonight. You and your friend or your spouse or your significant other, get in there and put these songs in there, and let's see what we've done for you.
Wow.
It's amazing.
I can think of some of our guests that we probably need to follow up with.
Absolutely.
Type something up and get it out to them.
TheMLC.com. TheMLC.
I wrote it down.
I've
I wrote it down right here.
Yeah. I wrote it
We've
down.
We've done
as well.
something extraordinary. We've built a agency the size of ASCAP or BMI in less than 2 years, turned it on, and it's running. We still got some work to do, but I'm proud of what we've done. And I'm proud that for the first time ever, songwriters are on that board. They've never been on the board of the Mechanical Society. They're on the committees. I'm on the board. We're helping drive our own future destiny, and it is free. Proud of this, y'all. Really proud of it.
Bart, you have done so much for songwriters, and I know
Can't you
you
tell
don't
how
do
it's
it.
aged me? Look, Michelle, this is what it does to you.
You look as young as the day I met you, Bart.
Well, you're such a diplomat. When do you start your new job at the United Nations, Michelle? So.
Well, if I lived closer, they probably wouldn't be ready for me.
I know where you live. By the way, you live in Murfreesboro.
I do. Do.
The people that didn't see the first part of the show might want to rewind for that.
Yeah.
We talked about it.
So, but yeah, Bart, you're the person I want to be when I grow up. Like, you're making a difference. And that was a compliment. Just take it.
I know.
Behave yourself.
If you only really knew. So.
Shh. Keep your secrets. Anyway, but you just have done so many good things, and you are a bulldog, I think, but for all the right reasons. And that's high praise coming from me. Just ask my
Thank you.
co-host.
And I take it that way, Michelle. Thank you.
So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
I'm always happy to hear that you've got good things going, and it's great. And it's really great to know that you're down the road in Las Casas now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get together with you and your wife. Just bet
Die
on that.
houses. Yeah.
So,
Let's see,
but
Michelle. I don't know if we can do this while we got the video on, but no.
oh,
I was going to put on a screen of my little, hold on here. Let's see if I got a virtual background. No, I don't have one up there. I was going to show you it's gorgeous out here. I love it. It is so pretty out here.
yeah. Yep. So, well, Bart, that is all I've got for you today. And
Whoa. You're going to miss your golden opportunity.
oh, my golden. Oh, wait.
You
What
know,
is
you
it?
didn't ask me anything personal. You got
Nothing.
me on the
Oh,
witness stand right now.
gosh.
I'm on
I
the
was
witness stand, basically,
I
Michelle.
was trying
I
to be
can't lie.
nice. Okay,
whoever wants to
so
go there, I'll say let's get down and dirty with some of our
now
guests.
I
Who
will
wants to
quote
do it?
Paul McCartney. Although I'm not young anymore, I'm young and my heart is an open book. This is your chance, Michelle.
well, since we talked about the tattoo beforehand, my memory, and it's all kinds of screwy, but I thought that TCB tattoo was not on your shoulder, Bart. I don't
It's
know
right
what to
here on
ask
the
you.
back of my left shoulder. It's not where you accused me of
I
having it.
know.
And
Unless you
and
get your wallet like this.
I have two. I have the TCB because I love Elvis so much.
Right.
And then my brother was an alcoholic. And I guess once you are, you always are. And he was a step away from dying.
Goodness.
And he called me one Christmas 20 something years ago and went, come get me. Because I had prepared an opportunity for him at Cumberland Heights. And I went and got him, got out. He's been sober ever since. He's even a drug and alcohol part-time counselor.
That's amazing.
But he's one of the greatest artists that ever lived, Michelle. He's stunning in his ability. And I didn't say anything. I know him well enough. I picked him up. He never said hi or anything. Just threw his stuff in the car and we took off driving toward Paris, my hometown.
Yep.
We were over somewhere around Burns. And he said, pull over. Going back the old way on Highway 7. He pulled over and he reached in his pocket and handed me a picture of a phoenix emerging from its own ashes. And that's the tattoo I have right here, and so does my niece, and so does pretty much everybody in the family. And
Bart,
I'm going to
put part of your family.
If you can edit, are you going to edit this, or is it all live?
I usually just drop it pretty
well,
close.
Hold on. Then talk amongst yourselves while I go get this picture. Hang on.
Okay. All right. Okay, so Rudy, Bart is still one of my very favorite people.
I can see why.
He's just, yeah. Oh, he's back. So quick.
Let's see if the camera works on that.
I was talking about you, man. Oh, very nice. Very nice. Always.
Oh, yeah.
I got that tattooed. He got, when he got his 7-year sobriety chip.
Awesome.
I put that on my shoulder and I'm very proud of it. So
now, is this your brother who, I know you had a brother who worked here in Murfreesboro for a while.
Yeah, it's the other one.
The other one. Okay.
The other one that did all that great work down on the music mill. He's the carpenter. He's unbelievable.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Y'all like that porch on the music mill?
Yes.
The front porch?
I love that building.
Do you like the writer's porch?
Yeah.
You like all that? Well, you can thank John Herbison for that. So
very good. Good job, John Herbison.
Good job, John.
He is the smartest person I've ever met. I just got to, very first time I got to go out to dinner or see my family in a year was last Friday night. And John and my other brother, Mark, that you know, and my
Mark,
aunt.
yes.
We were all in Paris, and it was, I can't tell you what that meant to me, Michelle. So this is timely, and thank you for letting me talk about that.
Absolutely.
Nothing else. It's good. Next time, I'm not giving you this opportunity.
Oh, man. God.
All business.
I'll turn it around. I'll ask you one question.
Okay.
So we do when you work at an SAI, and I'm not kidding, and we sort of celebrate this, it's the weirdest job interview ever. It's weird. People even go, I don't know if I want to work there. And it's weird for several reasons. We're weird. First of all, the music
Yes, y'all are.
industry is unique and weird. There's nothing, and people think, well, I can go over there and conquer that. Yeah, great. Come right on. Come on,
Good luck.
captains of industry. You know how you get $1 million in the music industry? Start with
How's that?
5 million.
Right.
Right.
Then
Yeah.
we represent only songwriters who I love, but songwriters will be the first to tell you we're weird.
Yes.
And we're a not-for-profit that represents only songwriters in the music industry. We're the biggest lobbyist for songwriters in the world, but we're in Nashville. We're not in DC. So there's all these unique things that we do. We also own a for-profit business. We own the Bluebird Cafe. So we put you through all these weird questions because it's very, very specific what we do. I asked this one question about 10 years ago in an interview, and it threw the person. They went into a tizzy. And you would think somebody should be prepared for this question when you interview with the National Songwriters Association, but they never are. And you're going to answer today. Well, that's not fair, but here's the question. And the answer to this question, I have learned through the years, tells me volumes about the person.
Ooh, bring it on.
So we're going to start with Sage. You're going to tell me your name again because we just met today.
Rudy.
Rudy, we've met before in person, haven't we? You should look familiar.
Yeah, you look familiar too as well.
I hope when we remember where it was, it was somewhere that's a pleasant memory with it. But anyhow,
right.
I'll start with you, Rudy.
Okay.
It's real simple. What's your favorite song?
Watching the Detectives by Elvis Costello.
Damn good answer. I love Costello. Next time on your podcast, I'll tell you about the night I met Elvis Costello.
Oh, I would love to. Love that.
And hung out with him. Okay, Michelle, here's what most people say. One, now, forever, when? I go, one song, Desert Island. You better think about this. So I love the fact that you knew what it was. Mine is the Rain Song by Led Zeppelin.
Nice.
You don't know what it's about, the seasons of emotion. It's just the most genius writing I've ever seen. And one of the first true orchestral pieces in rock music. It's on the album Houses of the Holy. Okay, Michelle.
Okay.
I was fair to you. I gave you about a minute to think about it.
I know you sure did. I had my answer when you asked the question.
Okay,
Bart,
all right.
in my defense. My favorite song across all time is I Want to Be Sedated by the Ramones, but it's not because it's about being sedated. It's because the song to me is an oxymoron kind of a little bit, because it talks about, he's like saying, I want to be sedated, but he's saying it hard and fast, and he's really not sedated at all. Like, he's wound up and he's energetic and he's got stuff to do.
This is what I love about you. I love this passion.
Yes, he just wants to be chill, but he just, like, it's beyond his grasp to be chill. So he wants to be sedated.
The former U.S. congressman from Nashville was named Bob Clement. And I worked for the governor of Tennessee at the time. Best job, best political leader maybe in the history of this country. And I had it made. I was in my 20s, had it made. And Clement wants me to come to work for him in D.C. I'm like, I don't know about this. And we get to talking about it. And I tell him, I say, okay, I was going to be the press secretary. And I said, but I'm not doing it unless you also let me do the music issues. Well, we have legislative aides that do all those areas. I said, I know that, Bob. Well, you're going to be very busy. I know all that. I just said, I'm not interested. Some things changed, and quickly he came back and said, you want to do the music? We're hiring you. And by the way, this is a two-part story. I had been there maybe 6 weeks, and I get an appointment with the Nashville Songwriters Association International. I'd never heard of them. A publisher named Kevin Lamb, who ran Alabama's music publishing company, Maypop, and a great songwriter named Peter McCann. By the way, there's a trivia question. He's the other white guy in the disco era. There was KC and Peter. Peter was, do you want to make love? Or do you just want to fool around? That was Peter. And so it must have been the worst meeting in the world for them. I have no idea what they came to see me about. And I'm like, y'all do what? And remember, I grew up with the famous songwriter, Jimmy Stewart. I was always around songwriters. When I read the liner notes, I went straight to who wrote the song. And I said that day, that will be my next job. 10 years later, it was my next job. That's the day I met NSAI. But Bob's trying to get me to come to Washington, and I agreed to do the music issues. And that's how the whole thing started for me, Michelle.
I love it.
And it's been a long, long time ago. That was 35 years ago. But yeah. I will say it's been everything I expected and then some. It's a struggle. Advocacy is hard. It's hard to change anything. Sure. I love songwriters. They're the most beautiful creators ever. I put them a little bit in line with painters, and they're different. They're even when Taylor Swift writes a song, she'll tell you, I'm not Taylor on stage. I've got my songwriter hat on. It's beautiful. It's dysfunctional. It's glorious in all of its flaws. And I have been very, very privileged to preside over that for a quarter of a century. And think getting to do things like this today.
Yep. So, well, I think, we're pushed as young people to, starting in school and like high school. What are you going to do with the rest of your life? What do you want to be? And the common thread for me throughout my my whole life was music. And Bart, I'm sure you remember this about me, and Rudy, I know you know this about me, but I love music as a fan, and I'm not technical like you guys might be. I'm not listening for the hook or the great guitar lick or, that drum thing was
you want
off
to know
the
how
hook.
what matters to you is how it makes you feel.
Yes. But
and
it's
you know what?
very
That's
deep.
What a song is supposed to do.
Yes. And if the song moves me in some sort of way, whether it moves me to dance or it moves me to get inside my head and think about something, that's what matters to me. And I don't care if Justin Bieber sings it or my neighbor down the street. I want to be moved by music, and I allow myself that.
And that's why I cottoned to you to begin with, Michelle. And look, that was evident, and it helped me always keep my spark alive in that. And so I want to leave with this. We're not just for professional songwriters. The bulk of our members are hobbyists. They thought about writing songs and they want to see if they can, or maybe they have written songs for a long time and they want to write some and start performing them in their hometown and all that.
Sure.
NashvilleSongwriters.com, and we welcome you.
I think you should definitely go there and check it out, people.
Absolutely.
I stand behind this organization and this man who's interviewing with us today 100%.
Well, thank you. That means the world to me, Michelle.
Yeah. Well,
and I'm a big fan too. just today, just became a huge fan.
I got to figure out where we met. We've talked before. Are you a writer? Are you a writer?
I know where I think I know where it's at, but we're going to close up and then we'll chat for a minute.
Okay.
So, hey guys, thank you so much for listening to us and listening to Bart. I'm like one of his biggest fans and all. Please don't forget to give us a 5-star review and give us a written/typed review on Apple Podcasts. That helps us so much. 5-star reviews.
Yes.
So we will catch y'all next week. We hope you're good until then. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye now.
I think.